My goodness. Hello. Good mid-morning. I'm just looking at these new settings yet again on Facebook. Facebook, why? Why must you make so many changes so often? Okay. How could I not drop in today and wish everybody the most incredible, free, proud, wonderful celebration of Autistic Pride today. If you are not autistic, hi Lisa, or if you're new to Autistic Life, if you're a parent raising autistic children, hi Debbie, then June 18th, which it is in Australia today, AEST, in Melbourne, Australia is where I am, and we are celebrating Autistic Pride Day today. So I thought it would be really wonderful to drop in and have a little chat about what makes us proud to be autistic, what we love about autism, because you can look anywhere on the internet, in books, you can go to literally millions of professionals who will help you to focus on the deficits of your children or yourself. Hi, Amy. But it's so important for people to know and understand what's great about being autistic. I, for one, love being autistic. I love it. And even when I was young, even growing up with the challenges I had, and I had serious challenges, all the worst things that you could read, I probably experienced them to do with being autistic. But I still always felt underneath all of that I would never want to be any other way, because my depth and intensity of emotional response to the world was something that I knew was rare. Thank you so much for all of your wonderful insights, your advocacy, and sharing yourself with us. Lisa, thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you so much for being here. Right now, there are too many negative things to like it. For you personally, Carl, are you autistic? Is this what you're saying, and you're having a difficult time? Because I relate to that. I absolutely 100% understand what that feels like. And I also understand what it's like to be a parent and to have a child diagnosed and have no idea where to begin. I can see it's difficult to see my face with these on, so I'll take them off. And to think it's the end of the life we'd imagined for ourselves. It's horrible to say that, horrible to think that, but that's where many of us start. And yeah, before I knew anything, all I did know was if I was wrong, I didn't want to be right. Yes, Sarah. Yes, exactly. I knew that feeling so much all of the time was exhausting. I knew that it caused me to be disapproved of. It meant that people would constantly say to me, sorry, ADHD brain right now, I have the most incredible bird outside my window and it's just sitting there looking at me, and it's beautiful. And you should see the feathers around its neck. Wow. Anyway, I'm back. Kind of. Oh, it caused people to tell me I was too soft, too sensitive, thought too much, should be tougher on people, should have better boundaries. And yeah, being surrounded by a lot of people who were tougher and were quite hard on other people. I'm not that person. I'll never be that person. I'll always be soft. I'll always feel to a depth and intensity that can only be matched really by other people who are deeply empathic. And I love that. I love that because imagine if those people weren't in the world, Sarah. Imagine if we weren't in the world. Like, who's going to love everyone? Who is going to look after people that need protecting? Who is going to, create places and spaces that are safe and nurturing for those people? Penny, did you manage to get your Mac fixed? Penny, I'm on my Mac now, and it's so slow. I have to buy a new one. I don't want to buy a new one. This is 6 years old. I bought it when my youngest was born. My computer died yesterday, everybody. Well, it didn't actually. It had a little flip-flop. Had to delete the hard drive and reinstall the operating software. So far so good if you can see me and hear me. I'm diagnosed late in life and it felt so wrong before. Now I feel so right. Oh, yeah. I love it. I love knowing I'm autistic. I love it because knowing that I'm autistic took me from being over here and thinking there was something wrong with me to being over here and going, oh my God, I'm not a second-rate, non-autistic person or neurotypical. I hate that word because there's no such thing. The bird's been joined by another bird. Oh, and they're just sitting there. Now, see, this is my autism. This connectedness, noticing things that other people don't notice. I remember watching a movie once. It's called The Colour Purple. And they were walking through a field of yellow flowers. And one woman said to the other, I think that God would be pretty pissed off to think that people would walk through this and not notice. And it's got nothing to do with religion, but it's about the world and our environment being so full of so much incredible beauty, so much to look at and feel and smell and hear and take in and sit with and analyse and pick apart and research and become an expert on. That's the kind of brain I have, and I cannot imagine being any other way. Bird tangents are the best kind, aren't they, Sophie? So nice to see you here. Amy says, I love the determination it gives me and the stubbornness because it helps me keep going. Oh, yeah. I totally relate to all of this. Yeah, I think the PDA gives me the edge to be determined, to just move through. And I think having children helps with that too. I always say, that if I didn't have autistic children, maybe I wouldn't be so passionate about advocacy. I don't know, I really don't know, but it's about creating a better world for our children and generations to come. Finding the true and accurate information is key to understanding the autistic brain. Yes, and this is so important. It's so important, Debbie, isn't it? I mean, anybody can go anywhere and learn about autism and read about autism. You can Google it, you can pick up a textbook, you can talk to a professional. But that's what a lot of us in the autistic community refer to as book autism. Because we read some of that stuff and just go, that's not why we do that. It's not why I do that. And we are all completely different, obviously. But the behaviorism, the behavioural aspect can be quite dangerous and problematic, because it means that non-autistic people are observing our behaviour or our outward expression and comparing it to why they might do that, and then coming up with assumptions around why we do those things. And a lot of it is actually inaccurate. So talking to the autistic community is so important, even for people who think they may be autistic, because I didn't know I was autistic until I connected with the autistic community, and then I just went, okay, how did I miss this? On the bird, Shane, you're on your Mac, not your phone, so you can't turn the video around to show us all the pretty bird too. I know! Do you know what? While I'm sitting here talking, I'm going to take a little video of it, and I'm going to put it into the comment section, because it is so beautiful. They're just gorgeous. Brian, the fact that I'm early diagnosed autistic and undiagnosed PDA at the same time, I feel like I'm in two worlds at once. Yes, I understand that, Brian. I also used to feel like I was smack bang in between people thinking that I was mild autistic or high functioning, which we steer away from, or just lying about it, being attention seeking and putting a label on myself, which I haven't done. I've been assessed and diagnosed twice, and I was doing my best masking, and I still got diagnosed. But we become master maskers to be able to survive. All human beings do this. All human beings adapt and conform to a degree. That's what evolution is. And those of us that cannot adapt and conform generally are considered, you know, the weaker link. And once upon a time we may not have survived. And we've seen over the past generations what's happened to neurodivergent people. Not just autistic people, but ADHD, people with other diagnoses or co-occurring conditions. We've been institutionalized, we've been misdiagnosed, mismanaged in terms of medications and therapies. People were delivered therapies that damaged their brains, lobotomies. People were sent away to residential care. People fell through the cracks at school. There's a whole lot of stuff that went on that it still happens, definitely still happens, but it's so important for us to show up in the world as who we are. And this doesn't feel safe for everybody, and it doesn't always feel safe for me, but I need the world to know and understand my kind of autism, or how I show up in the world, everybody else's expression. We need to understand the variation in autistic expression, because I don't want my children to go through some of the things I went through unnecessarily. Happy Autistic Pride Day, Mel. Brooke says, yeah, the main autistic community is slightly different from the PDA community in a lot of ways. It's like the edgier section. Oh, isn't it ever? So is. But I love both communities very, very much. So I'd love to hear some more about what other people love about being autistic, or what they love about the people in their lives who are autistic that they love. Debbie says, I love how my teenage autistic daughter retains a level of innocence that her non-autistic friends have lost. Yeah. Sometimes that can be really uncomfortable for us, but it is a beautiful thing, I think. Most definitely. And level of maturity. I guess I can only speak from experience, and being a PDA, something I love about that is not being invested in social hierarchies, seeing people as people. And then that crosses over into our beautiful neurokin in the autistic community who are also LGBTQIA+, gender diverse, trans, however they identify. And it's really interesting to note that many autistic children mix up their pronouns, their binary gender pronouns. This is something that has been noted many times as characteristic or common for autistic children, and it's addressed in speech therapy. However, I like to think, and I may be romanticizing things here, and I think that's okay. I like to think that many of our children mix up their pronouns or don't use them. My 6-year-old just says they all the time because we see people as people rather than men and women and principals or, whatever their position is. I like to just strip away all of the clutter around the person and get to the heart of who they are. And I think this is what's beautiful about being autistic. I love the depth of care that is innate and so true within me. When I learn to love someone, they become a part of my heart and I would be there always for them. Yeah, loyalty, Mel. Loyalty. Absolutely. I just watched one of your videos on stimming. My daughter is 3. I'm just going through all my videos trying to remember. My daughter is 3 and you mentioned the not knowing name. And everyone thought my daughter was deaf, but I knew she knew me and her name. Oh, yeah. Oh, the one I did last night on Insta stories and Facebook stories, yes. See, that's a classic example of reading in a textbook that our children don't respond to their names because they don't know that it's their name, or they don't hear us, or they don't know that we are their parents. I've heard so many professionals tell parents that their non-speaking autistic children don't know who they are, don't identify them as mum or dad or brother or sister or whatever. It's so presumptuous. We're not inside that little person's body and their brain. We're not inside their being. But I can tell you from my experience, we have this absolutely connected presence with our environment, and shifting away from that and unplugging from that to plug into people who don't always feel as safe as our environment is really challenging. So sometimes we do hear people calling our name, or we know what's going on in our peripherals, but we stick with what feels safe when we're children. And that also shows up inside of our sensory profiling and our sensory sensitivities. That can be painful and terrifying. I love that my son will never die wondering. No. He will just say it or ask it. I always have moments and situations in life where I think, I can't ask that. He just asks away. Me too. Me too. Do you know what the beauty is of being open about being autistic? Is that people expect certain things from you, I guess, or they look for what it is that makes you autistic. And I kind of think at the end of the day, when people know my heart and they know who I am, I think I can ask questions, and if people don't want to answer them, they can say, oh, I find that really rude, or whatever they want to say. But that need for information is so strong. It's so strong. And sometimes my husband will say to me, and has said to me in the past, People aren't ready for such honesty. It is so confronting. People aren't ready to have real and true conversations. People are blown away by brutal honesty. I wish everybody was brutally honest. I wish everybody asked all the questions that are important, because I bet those questions that your son asks are the good ones. They're the really good ones. I love that. And I love that we can have a sense of humour around this stuff. Okay, it's been 20 minutes. Wow. I have a question. If you can, your opinion on ABA therapy? Ooh, no, not good. I've written a few things on ABA therapy, Jessica, and I've copped some serious flack for it from other parents. But if you ask most people who are actually autistic, no, I would never encourage ABA or any compliance therapies, because it's behaviour based. It dismisses the internalized experience of being autistic. It dismisses the person, and the main goal, I guess, of ABA is to break down tasks and learn skills, and to have our children on par with their non-autistic peers. The tagline for ABA is to be indistinguishable from our peers. I mean, how bloody boring. I don't want to be indistinguishable from my peers. That's not what I'm here for. That's not why I'm autistic, to blend in. Loud and proud, out here, loving it. We're on our own timeline of development. We take, I want to take this piece that's written about often that says we are developmentally delayed. There's a lot of language about us that's really unkind. And if you can imagine being an autistic person and reading that stuff, a reframe of that is that we have problem-seeking, problem-solving neurologies. And so that means that, God, we're taking in so much information all of the time through our senses. And we also have sensory systems that incorporate things that other people aren't aware of. We can hear things other people can't hear. We notice things that other people don't notice. We notice everything, the finer details. And so to be able to take in all of that information and churn it over, pull it apart, analyze it, research, make sense of it, put it back together in a way that is structured for us to be able to sit with and understand, that takes time. So just blanketing the autistic experience and saying that we're developmentally delayed and need therapy to catch up, there's nothing to catch up to. We are who we are, and we're perfect the way we are. And there's so much evidence in the world of autistic adults who had no therapies, and I'm not anti-therapy at all. I am pro-supportive therapies. But there are so many autistic adults who made it through the world, not with ease, but they didn't have therapies. They didn't have any supports that are deemed absolutely necessary today. And they're still here, and they're incredible human beings. And I'll say this, I'm almost really glad I wasn't diagnosed in the 80s, because the fact that I was not subjected to ABA is something I'll forever be grateful for. It's something I did have one of my own children in, and it didn't work out well. But it has the potential to traumatize autistic people. And there will be therapists who will say, it's not the 70s anymore, this isn't low VAS therapy. That's the name of the person who started ABA therapy. We've come a long way, we're respectful, and we allow autistic children to stim. They'll say lots of things, and that's okay, because they really believe in what they're doing, because ABA is considered evidence-based. But when we look at the evidence is based on how they appear, whether they appear to be able to do things. They're still autistic underneath. So inherently, we're asking them to shut down who they are and appear indistinguishable from their peers. So, there are other bodies of research around longitudinal studies, which is what a lot of the evidence-based research for ABA lacks. The longitudinal research carried out by actual autistic people reflects that many of us end up with post-traumatic stress as a result of constantly shutting ourselves down and engaging in the world in a way that isn't organic for us. Does anybody want to offer up some other things they love about being autistic, or they love about their autistic loved ones? I want to say this as well, and I do need to get going in a sec because I've got a consult with a mum in 10 minutes. The world predominantly offers doom and gloom narratives around autism. On the news, current affair programs, commercial TV, charities and organisations usually share stories that are not hopeful, that are sad, that families are struggling, and that does definitely happen. But I want people to know that there are also thousands and thousands and thousands of families out here, all autistic, like my family, 6 of us, all autistic and thriving. Does that mean life is easy? No. Is life easy for anybody? No, not really. Everybody has their challenges, but we are happy, we are joyous, we love being autistic, and we're thriving. And there are so many of us out here. But you're not going to find us in the media, because what's the point of sharing feel-good stories about autistic families? You're not going to read about us in textbooks, because what would be the point? You'll find it by seeking out the autistic community. And I really want to encourage you, if you have friends or family who are new to the autism diagnosis or identification, if their children are just being diagnosed or they are, I would love to encourage you to encourage them to find the autistic community and to ask us questions, ask actual autistic people questions. Ask us for support, because that's what we're here for. There are so many of us out here doing this. There are wonderful groups. Autism inclusivity, I'll type that in the comments. And I don't know whether it won't let me tag it. But Autism Inclusivity is a really wonderful group for parents looking for help and support and to understand the autistic experience. There are some really great pages, Reframing Autism. Gosh, there are so many. I can't think right now because I'm on the spot, but if anybody knows of some really great pages or groups that you've found helpful that are run by, that are autistic led, please pop them in the comments for people, because this is so important. Yes, Mel, Tara, thank you. Tara, I can't remember what it stands for. Autistic Realm. I'm having a mental blank. Yeah, there are lots of really great groups anyway. Does anybody have any questions or anything they'd love to say before I click off? It's so nice to see everybody here. The Autistic Realm Australia. I Can Network. Yes, absolutely. And last night when I was running a family group session, a really great question was asked by someone who's here with me today. And they were asking about how to support our LGBT autistic youth. And I found out last night that the I Can Network is offering support for that specifically, which is so wonderful. We need more of that. Hi, Irene. Autistic here. I love how my brain works. I see a lot more than most, and that can be overwhelming, but also wonderful. Totally agree, Irene. Totally agree. Oh, Natalie, you're so lovely. Hi, Cassandra. Sophie, likewise. Likewise. Thank you for your advocacy as well, and happy Autistic Pride Day to you. And I just want to end this by saying thank you so much to this incredible community for embracing me. Shadia Hancock is wonderful. Yes, Shadia is a friend of mine. For embracing me as my authentic autistic self, to allow me to give myself permission to show up exactly as I am, when I'm having great days, when I'm having crappy days, to continue to support me. I don't know if people could know what that means for me, what that gifts to me. Honestly, knowing that I have this space where I get to show up as me and talk about whatever I want to talk about, and people are so receptive and kind and loving and nurturing and wonderful. And I'm so grateful for that. This isn't just about me throwing information out into the world. It's a process, it's an exchange. The validation and the reassurance and the connection, the relationships, I feel so honored, and this is such a privilege. It is such an incredible privilege. Debbie, thank you so much. I could talk all day. I think this is the longest live I've ever done. I'm losing track of time. I have a consult in 6 minutes. I've got to go and prepare. You are all so amazing, and happy Autistic Pride Day, and I hope you have a really incredible, wonderful day. Mwah! Love to everyone. Bye.